Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
If you've been injured, it doesn't matter if you were hit by a big truck, a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. It's a football Tuesday. We're inching closer to it. We're going to be talking football with Glenn West coming up at 1:30. Talking Tigers will be the last time we talk to Glenn before the Tigers report to camp and start practice on Thursday. And Sharif Ishak with WDSU with us every single Tuesday at 2:30, and he has certainly been at Saints camp for the last week, so we'll chat with him then. We'll do some Meet the Freshmen with the LSU football team coming up in hour number 2. And got some Saints I want to get to in the next segment, but we want to start with something that just came out that we got sent as a press release that revolves around LSU football. The Outland Trophy watch list is out, and for the next 15 days, a different watch list is going to come out every single day, and I think there are probably a number of players on the list that have a real chance to win, and there are probably a number of players on the list that don't have a real chance to win. There are also probably a lot of really good players on every watch that aren't on every watch list that will emerge as great college football players. So I'm not trying to overreact to a watch list on August the 1st, okay? That's not the point. But I do have a point. And the fact is that 3 LSU players have been named to the Outland Trophy watch list. The Outland Trophy goes to the top interior lineman in college football. Could be offensive, could be defensive. Glenn Dorsey, the sole winner of this award with LSU back in 2007. The 3 players that have been named to the Outland Trophy watch list on the 1st of August are Will Campbell, who you would absolutely expect, had a phenomenal freshman year, was literally the starting left tackle on the football team a couple of weeks into his first spring as an 18-year-old. You would figure that guy entering his sophomore year, pretty good shot, Will Campbell is going to be on the Outland watch list. He's joined by his other bookend, Emory Jones. Emory Jones came in, was not a starter right off the bat. LSU's offensive line did not look very good early on. They inserted Emory Jones. He went the rest of the way. Those 2 guys, the first ever freshman tackles as a tandem to start for LSU in the program's history, are on the list. And so is a defensive lineman. Well, you may think you know who that is, and you might be right. But you might be wrong, because Mekhi Wingo is the nominee. Now, that makes all the sense in the world. Mekhi Wingo earned All-American honors last year in his first year in Baton Rouge. He was fantastic. He had 47 tackles, 6 of them for loss, 3 sacks. He was a 3rd-team All-American by the Associated Press. He was a 2nd-team All-SEC selection. That makes a ton of sense as well, that Mekhi Wingo would be on this watch list in his 3rd year of college football. And that alone, those 3 guys being listed on the watch list, ties LSU for the 2nd most in college football. It ties them with Georgia. They've been pretty good. It ties them with Alabama. That program does all right. It ties them with Utah, who's been a force in the Pac-12 for the last half decade. It ties them with Ohio State. Pretty good. Buckeyes got some talent. Only Michigan has 4, one more than LSU's 3, and the rest of those teams I just listed. And what I didn't list with LSU, a player that's not on this list, is Mason Smith. He's getting looks in the first round of the draft next year. Now, he's coming off injury. We know the story behind Mason Smith, but he was allegedly, reportedly, however you want to say that, ready to roll at the end of spring football. He's had an entire summer of conditioning. He sat down with our Matt Moscona a couple of weeks ago and talked about how good he felt. And everyone within the sport in talking season is projecting him to have a monster season. You've heard that from opposing media members, from us. You've heard that from Brian Kelly. You've heard that from players at LSU's Media Day representation. So this is expected to be one of the top players in the Southeastern Conference. And likely, if he doesn't jump over a player on the first series during Florida State last year, is on this watch list, which would put LSU with 4, which would tie them with Michigan for the most in the country on this watch list. Now, we can stop talking about the watch list, which was the intro to this segment, and start talking about what that actually means for LSU's football program and team entering this season. And I think it's pretty damn good that both of your tackles are on the Outland Award watch list, and both of your, well, I should have said tackles, both offensive and both defensive tackles would warrant this. That's a pretty good place to start your football team. Yeah, I'd probably rather have the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback than the Outland winner at right tackle. I'd probably rather have the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback than the Outland winner at defensive tackle. But quite honestly, you got to block and you got to hold the point of attack on defense. And LSU is starting in a pretty damn good spot with these 4 players. And we're going to spend the next month off the bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer show, after further review. We'll spend the whole month largely focusing on huge positives with LSU football. Like, that's what this month brings. Unless you've got a massive rash of injuries, it's pretty tough to get pessimistic in fall camp. But this is not us talking. This is the Associated Press. This is a group of folks who have no bias toward LSU. Now, they're far more likely to put LSU's left tackle on the list than they are to put Texas San Antonio's left tackle on the list. That's just natural. But while you're going to be inundated with all this positivity from us, very likely, when you get some positivity from the outside, it feels pretty good. It feels maybe a little more powerful a statement. And I love the fact, as a guy who's obviously got LSU's rooting interest at heart, to say, man, that's a really good starting point up front. To say, I've got one of the best left tackles in the sport, one of the best right tackles in the sport, and my interior defensive line that's there to stop the run, that's there to push the pocket, that's there to get into the launching point of a quarterback, that's there to make big plays on short yardage and goal line situations. The folks around the country think that's as good as anybody. I think that's a pretty powerful statement. And again, it's a watch list. Malik Neighbors yesterday was named to the Maxwell Award watch list. That's the best player in college football. Do I think he's going to win that? I don't. Do I think he's really good? I do. Now, Jaden Daniels is on that watch list. I think he could win it. High-profile school, highest-profile position, assembled media at SEC Media Day said, hey, that's the best quarterback, first team, first time LSU's had that since 1988. That seems pretty realistic. Malik Neighbors? Maybe not. Nice nod. But I think all 4 of these guys that I've mentioned for LSU are really good at their positions. Some of them have been given credit as high school players. Some of them have accomplishments literally at the college level. But I saw that announcement that came across literally 26 minutes ago to my screen, and I went, that's pretty impressive. And as Brian Kelly continues to build this roster that he believes is a year away from being where it needs to be, it's a pretty good place to start on the line. So, 78th year of the Outland Trophy Award watch list, and Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Mekhi Wingo on that list. Not listed Mason Smith. I think we've got a chance to have a pretty good one there as well. Plenty to get to here on this Tuesday, the Hunt Palmer Show. If you are looking for something to do this evening, might I ask you to come by Plucker Sports Trivia? You get a real treat at Plucker Sports Trivia tonight if you come on by. 8:30, Nicholson location. If you come, you will see me in agony watching the Cubs play a very meaningful baseball game. To me. Hasn't happened in a couple of years. I watched a World Series there one time. Game 1. That was the last time I did that. But they're playing the Reds tonight. It's kind of a really need to win. I'm not going to say must win, but I'll be grinding that and calling out sports trivia questions. You can hang out, watch me, laugh, enjoy some delicious drinks, great food, win some gift cards. It's a great time, enjoyable time. Grab a team coming out Plucker's Nicholson location at 8:30 tonight for sports trivia. Have Glenn West talking Tigers in 20 minutes. When we come back, let's talk about some Saints players that I think really need to elevate their games for the Saints to be as good as they can be this year. That's next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I think everybody that's listening has been affected in one way or another by cancer. It seems to be everywhere. But we've got some really, really good news that we're so thrilled to share with you that Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. It's the first and only provider in Louisiana with a fully integrated cancer program that's based on MD Anderson's practice standards and treatment plans. Got those customized treatment plans. They've got access to MD Anderson's protocols and practice standards. They've got direct access with MD Anderson specialists and researchers. So Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center is offering groundbreaking research and innovative therapies. They're offering access to select clinical trials available to eligible patients right here in our area. That expert care is in 7 locations: New Orleans, St. Tammany, and right here in Baton Rouge. Ochsner and MD Anderson are going to work together to certify additional sites moving forward, which is fantastic for our area, for our state, for our region. If you're looking for more information on Ochsner MD Cancer Center, go to ochsner.org. That is ochsner.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter? What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. The Outland and Nagurski watch lists are out. We'll talk about the LSU players on the list and a Saints camp report from NOLA. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I was thinking about the Saints today and thinking about an angle and started thinking about guys that need to step it up a little bit. And inevitably, when you've got a team that either achieves what the expectation is or overachieves according to preseason expectations, which don't mean a lot, but it's what we're here for. You've got to have guys elevate their level of play. I already know for the Saints to be good, Derek Carr's got to be good. I already know for the Saints to be good, Demario Davis is going to have to play great football. So is Marshawn Lattimore. So is Chris Olave. I already know that. They're proven commodities on the team. And quite honestly, I don't expect Cam Jordan or Demario Davis to elevate their level of play significantly from what we've seen. I don't think Tyrann Mathieu is going to be a different dude this year. There are some guys on this team, though, that have potential greater than what their production has been in their time in the NFL, for one reason or another. And I think for the Saints to reach the expectation, which for most people, not even around here, just most people in the league, would be to win the division. And for them to exceed that, which would be win a playoff game, win two playoff games, win the conference, compete for a Super Bowl. If they're going to do something like that, then they're going to have some guys on a lower level elevate themselves to either a solid starter or a Pro Bowl level player, depending on that player. And I came up with 4 of them. 4 guys who have got to be better than what they've been. I'll start with Peyton Turner. You know that. You know his story. High draft pick, can't stay healthy. 5 games in 2021, 8 games in 2022. He has not started a football game yet. In his career, he's made 28 tackles, 3 sacks, 6 hurries. He's been pretty non-existent. We heard last year in camp, he's flashing this and that. He's picking guys up and body slamming them. The physical gifts are very obvious. The production is also very obvious, and it's almost none. He's 25 years old, and he needs to become a starter on this team and a productive one. His upside is better than Granderson's. Granderson has become a nice player on the team. He's got 8.5 sacks over the last 2 years. Peyton Turner could have that in a year with those gifts if he could play 15 games. That's not even the whole year. And I'm not betting on Peyton Turner to become a 10-sack guy. I'm just saying if the Saints are going to exceed expectation and win a playoff game or two, they're going to need some of that. Peyton Turner's the first guy. The second guy is Trevor Penning. You know Trevor Penning's story, too. He hasn't been healthy. Played in 6 games last year once he was activated after the foot injury sidelined him early in camp. Started the finale against Carolina. If the Saints are going to be as good as they can be, that does not involve Hurst playing left tackle. He can. He can do it. He did last year. The Saints are better if the 6'7" monster, who's 8 years younger than Hurst, is the left tackle, and Hurst is there as a swing man who can fill in for an injury or might beat Andrus Pete out at guard. It can work with Hurst at left tackle, but it's better in terms of the ceiling if Trevor Penning takes that spot. And we just don't know. He didn't get to play enough in camp last year and in preseason, obviously, and he didn't get enough real reps last year. I'm sorry, that Week 18 game against Carolina, not exactly a wild card playoff game. You had the team that was going to get the first pick in the draft by trade and a team that grossly underachieved and missed the playoffs. So let's see what it looks like in camp, and let's see if he can elevate himself. And I'm not asking him to be the all-pro left tackle. I'm asking him to become a really productive starter to allow another asset on the team, Hurst, to fill a different role. That's number 2. Number 3 is not one of the younger players. Not by a long shot. But Will Lutz better get better. Because there is competition in camp now, and what he was last year is not good enough. This is a guy in 2017, 18, and 19 was 43 of 44 from under 50 yards. 43 of 44. He missed once in 3 years from under 50. And he was 10 of 13 from 50 plus. He was the answer to Sean Payton's nightmare that was the kicking situation. How many could he cut in a month? 5? And finally they found Lutz, and he was cash. Last year, he missed 2 under 40. Can't do that in the NFL. You can't be missing 37-yarders in the NFL. Last year, he was 4 of 8 between 40 and 50. That's 50%. That ain't going to get it. Now, the good sign is that Lutz was 4 of 6 from 50 plus. So it's not like he's lost the leg. It's not like he can't do it. There's something in there that still functions, but the consistency wasn't there. And kicking can be a mental nightmare. It's like me on the golf course. Hook one left into the water, re-tee it, push, block it out of bounds. Overcorrecting left and right, can't get the swing dialed in. Now you're thinking about it. It's not good. And I don't know how Lutz's mental state is. I know that he was hurt and missed a full season, and you got to come back from that. And we know the story. But what he was last year is not good enough. And Blake Group is there. Now, I think for the Saints to be as good as they're going to be, you need Lutz to regain the form of 3 years ago and not the kid from Notre Dame to come in and take his job. Will Lutz got to be better. That's number 3. So we've gone through Peyton Turner. We've gone through Trevor Penning. We've gone through Will Lutz. And the last one, I would take an argument against that there are some other players that could support in this role. But the one that I've identified, because I think the ceiling might be a little bit higher, is Alontae Taylor. In my opinion, Alontae Taylor has a better chance to become a Pro Bowl defensive back than Paulson Adebo. That's my opinion. Now, Paulson Adebo has had some great moments in camp, in practice, in preseason, and in real games. And Adebo's a third-round pick, and Taylor's a second-round pick, and their measurables are similar. I like Taylor's speed. But you could convince me that the Saints would be okay with Lattimore on one corner and Adebo beating out Alontae Taylor in one corner, and Alontae Taylor being more of a nickel guy with Bradley Roby checking in there. And you could make the argument to me that that would work and that would be great. I personally am going to lean towards the guy who was played his rookie year last year, played 13 games, 9 starts, had 11 pass defenses, but didn't have an interception. He could elevate his game and really give the Saints something in the secondary, which, quite frankly, is where most of these playoff games are going to be decided, on the perimeter in the passing game. Now, this is not the AFC where you're going to have to deal with Mahomes, and you got to deal with Burrow, and you got to deal with Allen, and they're just going nuts on you. Yeah, Hurts had a good year last year, and that's fine. But who else in the NFC is just striking absolute fear in you? Now, if you're the Saints, you want to feast on some of these inferior quarterbacks. Lattimore helps you with that. Who's next? I would love it to be Alontae Taylor. I think if he steps his game up and reaches potential Pro Bowl levels, and you can put those two guys out there with Adebo and Roby and May and Matthew, that is a pretty salty secondary. And I think there's real potential in that. I'm skeptical of Peyton Turner, as anyone should be. I'm skeptical of Trevor Penning at this point. Maybe unfair, and maybe skeptical is the wrong word, just unsure. Because we just haven't seen enough from the Northern Iowa product. I'm a little skeptical of Lutz because you worry about the last 2 years not being as good. I feel much better about Taylor than any of those three. But I think if the Saints are going to elevate, you need some of the guys lower on the ladder to elevate. You know what Cam Jordan is. You hope he stays there. You know what DeMario Davis is. You hope he stays there. You know what Tyrann Matthews. You hope he stays there. Kamara. Olave. You even know what Jamal Williams is. You got a good feel for Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson. And I'm not ready to heap all this expectation on Foskey and Brzee up front. I'm not ready to tell you that Michael Thomas needs to come back and be a Pro Bowler. I would rather some young guys on this team step up. And that's where I think the Saints can go from, 9-8, win the bad division, get bounced in the first round. They'll play San Francisco and they'll get beat. They can't beat Philly. If you're going to be a threat in a watered-down conference, somebody's got to elevate. And I think there's a chance that those guys could do it. Those are my thoughts on the black and gold. We'll get Sharif's coming up 1 hour from right now. Of course, he with WDSU has been down at Saints camp, and we'll get some thoughts on what's going on down there in Metairie at the moment. When we come back, Glenn West on what he's looking for first when he heads out to the Ponderosa to see the Tigers on Thursday.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC, tell you every day, they're Louisiana loyal. It's their tagline. It's their movement. They're elevating and celebrating Louisiana. Talk with Seth Irby and the crew over there at LWCC, and their mission is, hey, look, Louisiana is loved. People love our culture, our music, our food, the football. They love all that. But we should be admired as well. And that's why they celebrate folks that are truly admired. Corey Barr is one of them. He's a chef that's gotten national acclaim, Food Network star, beat Bobby Flay, Chopped, all that. But even though he's grown national acclaim, he's come back home to Monroe. It's where he operates his 3 businesses. And being a Louisianian is important to him. That's why he's a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, whether it's an entrepreneur, nonprofit, whether it's a business, we'll tell their story thanks to LWCC. Corey Barr is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support
for a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench, as we have a new edition of Would You Rather Wednesday. LSU football quickly approaching their season opener against FSU. We'll continue to break it down. And the Saints get ready for some preseason games. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline as we do every single Tuesday. Chat with our guy Glenn West from Go 24/7. Glenn, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Hunt. How was your week off?
It was awesome. I very much enjoyed it. It feels like baseball season just finished. Took a quick little time away, and now football's here. So we're ready to rock and roll again. Where are your eyes going to go first on that practice field Thursday?
I'll keep it boring. I'll go with quarterbacks. I mean, I'm sure we'll get some really inspiring individual drills from the quarterbacks and the running backs, handoffs, and everything of that nature. But no, I think we're going to get, I'll be interested to see kind of what happens with this. They're kind of it's going to be the same 15 minutes, kind of the same deal that we've had now for several years. But I think the off season is just kind of no drama, and getting guys healthy for a lot of the summer is going to really, I think, pay off for this group. Certainly the secondary is going to be very interesting to see how they kind of rotate reps in with some of the, older guys and some of the younger freshmen, sophomores who are really starting to rise up in the program. I'll be interested to see how they break down the cornerback room and what those reps look like. But there'll be no shortage of hyperbole coming out of the first couple of days of camp, and we'll see how all these guys are looking here in the first few days.
It's overreaction season, baby. You got to love it. Who's the best defensive lineman on this team?
Oh man, I think I would probably go. Mason Smith. I know we haven't seen him in over a year now, 2 years, but just the potential and the the body that he has. From everything we've heard, he's done really, really good job this summer of getting in shape and being, ready for this fall and to really kind of break out. I think he really would have broken onto the scene last year if he hadn't gotten hurt, and I think they're going to be able to find ways to use him. And having a guy like Harold Perkins, who they can be so versatile with in that front seven, I think is really going to open it up for the rest of the front, the defensive line and a couple of those linebackers. I think it's really going to open up things. And if you get Mason Smith in a one-on-one, that's going to be a win, I think, more times than not. And so I think he's going to have a really big year for LSU, and I'm excited to see him out there healthy.
Chatting with Glenn West, Go 24/7 LSU. Report to camp tomorrow, and they will have their first practice on Thursday morning. He will certainly be there. Offensive line, are there any positions up for grabs as camp begins, or do you feel like it looks pretty set up?
Yeah, I think it's pretty set up right now. I think you have to wait and see kind of how these freshmen look. I mean, I don't think they're going to, unless Delance's hurt, it's just undeniably just great right off the bat. I think you're looking at probably Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, Charles Turner, Garrett Dellinger, and Emory Jones to kind of carry you through as the starters for most of camp and into the season. A lot of those guys were healthy for the spring. They got reps. They did a lot of rotating at guard and tackle because of kind of the dip in numbers that they had this past spring. And I think those guys are going to be really a big part of this thing. I mean, I think it's got to start with the O-line for LSU's offense to really take that next step. And we'll see if those guys can certainly they need to stay healthy. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If they can get through fall camp developing and continue to evolve the offense, but staying healthy is going to be the most important thing, especially out in this heat where there's going to be some record-breaking temperatures here over the next several weeks.
So if you're out there for 15 minutes on Thursday and you go watch the running backs, you'll get to see all of them go through the drill one time, I think is the way the numbers work out. What do you expect to see from that group that is, I think it's the most numbers I've ever seen at running back?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think there's 8 total when you factor in Kavontre Bradford, and certainly if John Emery's cleared, it looks like everything from what Coach Kelly described at media days saying that was absolutely going to happen. So we'll see, but it's going to look a lot different than several months ago. I'll tell you that, when it was just Trey Holly and Noah Kane back there. I think that they're going to be in a really good spot running wise. I think you're probably looking early on with Logan Diggs and Noah Kane. Josh Williams certainly is going to factor in pretty big. But I'm excited to see some of the other guys we haven't gotten a chance to see in a while. Caleb Jackson, the true freshman, I think is a guy who could be a real X factor for this offense if he really pops and is able to kind of carve out a role for himself early in this season. I think he's one of those kind of dynamic, kind of game-changing runners who I think, if given a complimentary role, can really help this offense take another step.
I know this time of year when you're in your line of work, you're kind of looking at depth chart, looking at players, looking at storylines that could develop that you can write about, and I'm in the same boat just verbally. But I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what Quincy Wiggins' role could be on this team because they brought in so many transfers on the edge there. Do you think Quincy Wiggins kind of emerges this year, or is he kind of lost in the shuffle?
I don't think he's lost in the shuffle. I think he's going to be absolutely competing kind of in that Ali Gay type of role, I think, off the edge with certainly Savion Jones, who can throw into that mix as well. I think they're going to be in a really good spot there with those two. I'm blanking on a couple other guys who can compete for that role, but I do like what LSU has on the edge. I think certainly the question is going to be which guys you stick at defensive end, kind of sitting in the ground a little bit more, and which guys you kind of want standing up off the edge on the other side in kind of that Ojulari, Mike linebacker or Jack linebacker role. I think kind of Obi Agofu and Deshaun Womack are kind of the more prototypes for that kind of role. And so if you're able to get Wiggins and Jones rotating on one side and Womack and Obi Agofu on the other side with certainly Braden Swinson could factor in there as well. I think that's a really good kind of off the edge kind of group for LSU, and then certainly you're going to bring Perkins up the middle, off the edge, from the secondary, pretty much wherever you want to line him up. He's going to be able to get in the backfield and make some things happen.
You think that Omar Spates is ahead of Greg Penn in the pecking order?
I do. I think so. Yeah, I think Penn's going to have a role on this team. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, if it might differ from last year, for example. But they brought Omar Spates in for a reason. I think he's going to be a real leader in the middle of the defense, and I know they're really excited about him. He's kind of a calming presence, I think, in the locker room, and is a guy who I think has played a lot of snaps at a very high level. So I think that was a really big get for LSU, and I think he's going to be a major player in all this.
So in the practice schedule that was sent out today, they talked about that Brian Kelly is going to give injury reports weekly leading up into the game with doubtful, probable, out, all the kind of classifications we've seen over the years. How surprised were you to see that? And do you think that is a positive, a negative, or just not really a storyline?
Yeah, I think it can be a positive. I'll be interested to see if it's one of those things where he'll announce injuries and then just not take any questions on them. I do think that, I hope that he'll be able to still kind of answer questions around the edge of just kind of how a certain injury affects, a certain position group, for example, and just kind of what the numbers look like there when a guy could potentially get back into the fold. But yeah, I think it's going to be good to have that clarity from Kelly, and certainly makes roll call a little bit easier when you kind of factor in the fact that he's going to be announcing all that stuff anyway. So we'll certainly be on top of that, as I'm sure the media always is, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But I think it's a good idea.
Tell everybody what y'all got coming up as fall camp approaches over at Go 24/7.
Oh, lots of good stuff. We have a big sale coming up here on the site in terms of just, percentages off and on the yearly site. And, we've got a good kind of unlocking of all of our VIP stories today just to kind of get everybody ready for fall camp. We're going to have lots of notes, lots of discussions, lots of recruiting updates. Just because LSU's in a recruiting dead period doesn't mean that the recruiting stops. So we'll certainly see over the next several weeks if they're able to land any more big fish, and we'll keep everybody updated, obviously, on the field and what happens with fall camp. But it's going to be a really fun month.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll see you out there.
All right, Hunt. Thank you.
He's Glenn West, Go 24/7. Before we break and go to our last segment of the hour, I want to briefly touch on the injury updates that LSU is going to be providing to the media weekly. I'll pull up the press release briefly here, and I'll tell you what was put out from Michael Bonnet, obviously, but this is Brian Kelly's call. He gets to decide when the media comes in and when they don't. He gets to decide what's told to the media and what is not. He's in control of this entire thing. So it says injury reporting protocol. Brian Kelly will address injuries each week during the season at his media opportunities on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Injured players will be reported by BK as either probable, questionable, doubtful, or out, along with injury location, upper body or lower body, or illness on Mondays and Thursdays. On Saturdays, those players reported as injured during the week will be listed as either available or unavailable for the game. I don't know if this is an SEC rule or if LSU just decided to do this. But I will tell you this, as is the case with everything I talk about when I'm talking about college athletics and protocols and rules, and what do you know as the listener that I care about? All I care about is how it affects LSU winning and losing. And I will tell you that if on Thursday Brian Kelly comes out and says, if on Monday, even Monday, Brian Kelly comes out and says, Will Campbell's out for the game, and that immediately is in the hands of Lane Kiffin, I think that's a disadvantage to LSU. And I, as the fan, don't care to know that. Now, there are plenty of people that feel differently, would say, I'm a fan, I want to know who's playing, tell me who's hurt and who's not, quit playing cat and mouse. And that's fine. And if you're gambling on the game, sure, you want to know. The NFL, big gambling dollars. They put out injury reports, supposed to be right. To my knowledge, that doesn't exist in NCAA football. If it does, and I'm wrong, I'm happy to admit that. But this is fresh off the wire, and it's new, and I'm going, okay, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But I do think it's an advantage to Jimbo Fisher if on Monday he knows that Jaden Daniels isn't going to play. I think it's an advantage if they know that, Harold Perkins is out. How much practice time do you have to devote to getting ready for Jaden Daniels or for Harold Perkins. A significant amount. Changes the game plan. How different is your defensive game plan if you know that LSU's got a guy playing left tackle? You've got a week to know that the left tackle is not going to play. And they're going to have to move Emory Jones over there, plays a Lance Hurd over there, whatever the case may be. Like, that to me seems like a disadvantage to LSU. But I know plenty of people, plenty of fans say, we need to know who's going to be injured. I want to know. If you want to know to gamble, that's all on you. If you're just worried about winning, which is all I care about, I'd like to just kind of keep that under the hat. But Brian Kelly's going to announce it, so what I care about doesn't matter at all. That's the way it's going to be. So appreciate Glenn for stopping in and talking some LSU with us. We'll talk with Sharif Ishak coming up in the second hour. I got a couple other things to get to in hour number 2 as well. College football scheduling superlatives. A couple of schools that I want to kind of focus on as to what their outlook is for this year based on how hard or how easy their schedule is. And we'll do Meet the Freshmen in hour number 2 as well. Got Dylan Carpenter and Jalen Brown, one offense and one defense, for Meet the Freshmen coming up at 2:15. When we come back, we will close out hour number 1 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Storm season's here. No doubt about it. And one of the effects of storms down here in South Louisiana is we lose power. You don't have to. That's why you call Boudreaux's Electric. Boudreaux Electric is family-owned and operated by Neil and Melissa Boudreaux, just the way it has been for 40 years. They are a certified Generac generator dealer, and not just that, they're a premier Generac dealer, which means they're in the top 3% nationwide. If you're at home and the power goes out and the generator saves it, that's awesome. But sometimes we got to go. We got to leave. Hurricane's coming in, and we got to get out of Dodge. Well, you still want that generator there because you don't want to come home to a disgusting fridge that smells and everything's molded and rotten. You want to come home to a house that's been taken care of. And Generac generators can do that for you, courtesy of Boudreaux's Electric. They've got an incredible monitoring system in-house. And they know before the storm comes if your generator is functioning properly or not. And if it's not, they may know before you, and they can come out, do the proper repairs, get it functioning. So when that power does come out, mine went out yesterday, you're taken care of. Boudreaux's Electric. You can call them. It's the same number that they've had for 40 years. It's 985-397-1562. Again, that's 985-397-1562. Get that Generac generator with a 10-year warranty from Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. The Outland and Nagurski watch lists are out. We'll talk about the LSU players on the list and a Saints camp report from NOLA. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, a funny thing's happening to me, the 35-year-old. Some of the LSU Tigers who I watched growing up have children who are being recruited for or playing for the LSU Tigers. But the first LSU game I ever went to was in 1993. And the quarterback that day was Jamie Howard. I was 5. I remember it. We beat Ole Miss. And, of course, Walker became 5-star quarterback and committed to play at LSU. The tight end that day was David LaFleur. He went on to become an All-American at LSU through 1996. He was a first-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys and enjoyed an NFL career. And his son, JD, is entering his junior year of high school. And just about 15 minutes ago, J.D. LaFleur, a 3-star tight end from Sulphur, pledged his commitment to LSU. Again, he's about to start his junior year. And if you look at his on-3 profile, there aren't really a lot of big names that pop up. ULM's shown up, and then you see, oh, there's Texas A&M, there's Miami. But this seems like a kid, dad was a Tiger, lives in Southwest Louisiana, and made this decision very, very, very quickly. He's 6'6", 230 pounds already, entering his junior year of high school. I'm looking at his profile pic. He's got a full goatee rocking. There is no shot I could have grown a lick of facial hair when I was basically a sophomore in high school. I was like 5'7" and playing JV sports. And J.D. LaFleur is 6'6", 230 and is headed to LSU. And this continues a run on elite-level tight ends, and we knew that was going to happen. I yesterday went on a whole segment about Brian Kelly's ability to prioritize offensive linemen in a system and to develop them through and put them into the NFL as a core piece of his program. And the same goes for tight ends. And we saw the emergence of Mason Taylor last year. We saw them sign elite-level tight ends in Markway and Pimpton this past year. And they're going to come in and expected to be really, really good players. And J.D. LaFleur is kind of back on this list now, just entering his junior season. But you understand there's a priority there. There's a philosophy and a priority to involve big-bodied, balanced, blocking and pass-catching tight ends. And I don't know if Mason Taylor's the best blocker we've ever seen, but they didn't have anybody at that position either last year, and he was able to make an impact catching the football and doing a little bit of blocking. And J.D. LaFleur, I'm guessing at 6'6", 230, which you would figure 2 years from now when he enters his first fall camp, 6'7", 245, 250? Like that would be pretty projectable. Put on 20 pounds his last 2 years. I don't know JD or how quickly he's grown or not, but it would make a lot of sense. But to me, it's all kind of crystallizing as a guy, hey, I watched his dad play. And then I watched him play for the Cowboys when I actually cared about the Cowboys in the mid-'90s, late 90s. And now his son, a Sulphur High student, has pledged his commitment to LSU. That is 3 commitments to Brian Kelly and his staff in 72 hours following the Bayou Splash event, which was apparently a pretty rousing success. And I think as we're starting to get used to the recruiting calendar and how things are going to work, I think to me, we had a lot of commitments from to LSU when Les was here at elite camp early in July and mid-July. If this Bayou Splash event right before players go off to start their junior or senior seasons, but their school year, kind of get that commitment out of the way after a huge weekend on campus, maybe this is something we can kind of start to set our clocks by and say, hey, this is when some real things are going to happen. But J.D. LaFleur, 3-star tight end, massive frame, great bloodlines, and a Tiger because of his dad, has committed to LSU. So I think that's really, really good news for Brian Kelly and his staff. That'll just about do it here for hour number 1 of the Hunt Palmer Show. We did a lot in hour number 1. We talked about the Outland Trophy watch list. LSU places 3 players on that. One of them is not Mason Smith. I think that's a great foundation for the football team to have that kind of talent up front. And then some Saints discussion. Who's got to improve and up their level of play? If you missed that segment, you can catch it on demand, or you can go to our YouTube channel, Hunt on Saints, and check it out. Every single day, our Saints content is going to be funneled right to that channel. It's all Saints football. So you go to Hunt on Saints on YouTube. You can subscribe. We'd really appreciate that, and check that out. Glenn West of Go 24/7 was with us at 1:30, as he always is. Sharif's going to be with us at the bottom of hour number 2. Come back with us after SportsCenter.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Jeff Passan on this baseball trade deadline day. The Astros have a deal in place to acquire ace Justin Verlander from the underachieving Mets. No other details yet on the deal. It is the perfect move for Verlander, says ESPN's Eduardo Perez.
Right back home where he was. Look, Jim Crane knows Justin Verlander really well. They have been able to negotiate well in the past. He goes into Texas again, and I think Houston is the place. Houston's a place where he's already won a World Series championship. It's familiar to he and his family.
Houston's just a half game back of AL West leading Texas and holds the second AL wildcard spot. Blue Jays acquired infielder Paul DeJong from the Cardinals. He gives Toronto insurance after Bo Bichette left last night's game with knee soreness. Padres acquiring lefty starter Rich Hill and first baseman Ji-Man Choi from the Pirates. Braves added an experienced left-hander to their bullpen, acquired reliever Brad Hand from the Rockies. Tiger Woods has joined the PGA Tour Policy Board for the first time in his 27 years on the tour. This is the first time players have outnumbered independent directors on that board.
If you need last-minute hires in no time, you need Indeed. Their integrated hiring solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week off to a good start. Hour 1 was a good start. We got another hour with you here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We're going to have Sharif Ishak from Saints Camp coming up in 30 minutes. I want to start this with a little generic college football talk as ESPN released its schedule superlatives for college football, easiest, toughest, and some other subcategories that they were going through. And you're always interested in what that means. The teams that have the easier schedules, could this be a breakthrough year? The teams that have the toughest, can the bottom fall out? Can a coach get fired? Can the wheels come off? And it makes what ESPN says the hardest schedule in college football is a little more interesting. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago during media days, and it's a storyline that's going to present itself right out of the chute. And that's the Florida Gators. They were bad last year. 6 and 7 ain't going to get it. And oh, by the way, your quarterback went top 5 in the draft. And now you got the toughest schedule in college football. We know why. They open up on the road against two-time defending Pac-12 champion Utah, who, oh, by the way, has their starting quarterback back. Cam Rising's been there 413 years, and he'll be there again this year. That's really tough. And, you know, they finished the year with Florida State, and that's going to be really tough. They've got games away from the swamp in conference play against LSU and Georgia. LSU's in Baton Rouge, Georgia, of course, in Jacksonville. And then you think about the fact that they do have to take trips to two schools that will pack their stadiums at a chance to beat the Florida Gators. And that's Kentucky and South Carolina. It's a big deal for them to beat Florida. It's like Mississippi State beating LSU. I'd say it'd be like Mississippi State beating Alabama. They never do that, so I'm not going to say that. you start to look at it, and if you think Tennessee is going to be a favorite in Gainesville, well, they're not going to be favored at Utah. They're not going to be favored against Florida State. They're not going to be favored at LSU. They're not going to be favored against Georgia. They're not going to be favored against Tennessee. Maybe they're not favored against South Carolina. Maybe they're not favored against Kentucky. All of a sudden, I just pulled out 7 games they may not be a favorite in. Now, they catch Arkansas on the other side, which I would say is a break. KJ Jefferson's pretty good. I think he's better than Graham Mertz. So you should have a more talented roster than Arkansas. I think your quarterback's worse. So I just wonder how tough it is for Billy Napier to whip up some momentum, because when do you try to establish momentum in your program? The first 2 years. You don't think Brian Kelly beating Bama and getting to the SC championship game last year kind of kick-started something? You didn't have that in Gainesville. And if they throw out a 6-7 year again, it just becomes tougher to sell. It's tougher to hire assistants if they're looking at this going, is this a 1-year gig? We saw that in Baton Rouge 2 years ago. Couldn't find coordinators. I'm not ready to proclaim the Billy Napier era in Florida dead. Like, far from it. It's a great job with a lot of resources, and I think he's a pretty good coach. And their recruiting class for this coming signing day, well, that's not etched in stone. Far from it. Looks pretty good right now. But if you start losing games, and these commitments who are higher level start getting phone calls from Mike Norvell, who won 10 games this year, Kirby Smart, who's playing in the playoff for the 3rd year in a row, or Nick Saban gives him a call, or Brian Kelly, it's just, they're going to pick up the phone. So that's not a great spot. Now, the other piece to this is they say in this story that Ole Miss is not far behind Florida on the challenge meter. They're the only SEC team playing Alabama and Georgia on the road. And while I'll fully admit that Alabama and Georgia on the road is not a great draw, it's probably a better draw than playing them at home. You don't want to give away 2 home games you're not going to win. You might as well have some teams coming to you that you can notch wins against. I don't think Ole Miss is trying to win the national championship this year. They may say that as they strap their cleats on. And you may tell me, well, TCU was in the game last year. I'm telling you right now, on the 1st of August, Ole Miss is not winning the national championship. They're trying to win as many games as they can. If you're going to have to play Georgia and Alabama, you might as well play them at the end of the season. So that's thought on the hardest schedule in college football. Now, you look at some of the other storylines that I want to talk about, and one of them is Arkansas. Because this is, again, another kind of interesting spot for Sam Pittman, who started out, while the record's not gaudy in the COVID year, they were coming off Chad Morris, who threw up a double bagel in the league. Did not win a game. So for them to be competitive and win 3 games in the COVID year, that's really, really strong. And then they built on that and won a lot of games 2 years ago, and then they kind of fell flat along with the KJ injuries last year. And it says in this piece, Arkansas's road schedule is brutal. The Hogs played one of the toughest schedules in the country a year ago. They played true road games against 3 preseason top 25 teams this year. That's at LSU, at Ole Miss, and Alabama. They also traveled to the Swamp to play Florida. And on its face, that sounds awful. At LSU, at Alabama, at Florida, at Ole Miss, like that sounds awful. But it goes back to kind of the same thing I said about Ole Miss. It's like, okay, but what does that mean for you? Well, if you're Arkansas, it means that you're playing winnable games at home, which is good. The tough part for Arkansas with the schedule they've got coming up is there's a stretch where they just don't go to Fayetteville. They're 4 straight weeks without playing a home game. They go with LSU, then they play A&M, who's away, and then it ends with Alabama. That A&M game's obviously in Arlington. So they just don't get a lot of games at home, which is in that stretch, which means they finish with games at home. So if I'm sitting here and I'm Arkansas, I'm going, okay, I got a nice little cushy start with Western Carolina and Kent State. Then BYU comes to me before this gauntlet where I don't play at home. I'm at LSU, I play A&M in Arlington, I'm at Ole Miss, I'm at Bama, and then you've got to turn it on this thing, in my opinion. And the last team that I find fascinating on this list is not an SEC team. And we're going to start to dabble a little bit into some non-conference stuff as we get into August and some storylines emerge. But Wisconsin is interesting to me this season for this reason. Luke Fickell takes over, and he's got a schedule that is set up. If you're going to play in the second best conference in America, and you're going to be at what is a high-profile job at Wisconsin, it's not Ohio State, it's not Penn State, it's not Michigan, it's not Georgia or Florida or LSU or Alabama. But they've had a lot of success over the last 20 years. That fair to say? Rose Bowls with Alvarez, Rose Bowl with Bielema. Like, they've had good teams. And now you got Fickell, which is this big splash hire. You finally got him out of Cincinnati. And their only non-conference game of significance is Washington State. And they're not going to be very good, theoretically. Wisconsin avoids Michigan and Penn State altogether this year, which is massive. And Ohio State comes to them on Halloween weekend. Now, I doubt Wisconsin's going to beat Ohio State. But you're not playing C.J. Stroud, so that's a good start. And Wisconsin catches Ohio State where the Buckeyes play Penn State the week before. So that's going to be a huge game, very emotional. Maybe you catch them on a bit of a letdown. And in the last 5 weeks of the season, Wisconsin only plays 2 road games. They're at Indiana and Minnesota. And all due respect to PJ Fleck, I doubt they're going to win the Big Ten this year. Row the boat, Sky Yuma, all the things, wear the tie, great. Good soundbite. Probably not going to have a great team. Is Wisconsin a team that can make a push and get to the playoff? Now, they've had significant problems when they get to the Big Ten championship game and Ohio State or Michigan shows up. Significant problems. But if you're looking for an off the radar, if you're looking for a TCU, if you're looking for a Michigan State, if you're looking for a Washington, one of these teams that's gotten through and made it, I would look theoretically at Wisconsin, who misses 2 of the 3 powers and plays the other power at home, coming off a huge game. We'll see. I'm personally more interested in what Ole Miss and Florida are going to do, what Arkansas is going to do. But I think it's fascinating this time of year to give some thought to what could go on around the country. Some other things they do, which is a cool little piece to this puzzle, is clash of cultures. I think Auburn and Cal playing each other is hilarious because Auburn's going out to Berkeley, which is funny. The last edition of Bedlam, OU and Oklahoma State. And yeah, that was those are the 2 last ones that I saw on this piece. It's a good piece. It's a fun little read this time of the year. It's on ESPN.com. You can check it out there. College football scheduling superlatives. Who's got the hardest and easiest schedules? By the way, if you're looking at LSU's, and I know that you have at this point, it's pretty favorable based on how it lays out and the opponents that you've got. So that's something we'll definitely dig into over the next month. As we finally made it to August. The Tigers will practice for the first time on Thursday. They report coming up tomorrow, and we will hear from Brian Kelly. So let's take a timeout. When we come back, what do we got before Sharif? Oh, we got Meet the Freshman. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up and down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench, as we have a new edition of Would You Rather Wednesday. LSU football quickly approaching their season opener against FSU. We'll continue to break it down. And the Saints get ready for some preseason games. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Get some news of the day from Saints camp. I want to ask Sharif about some of the things I talked about in hour number one with Will Lutz and how much he's being pushed. Want to see what the vibe is kind of around Derek Carr and what's going on the injury front down there in Metairie as the Saints continue to work down there at camp. Sharif will be with us in 12 minutes. But for right now, let's meet the freshmen.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen, meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
We'll start on the defensive side of the ball. That's Dylan Carpenter, 6'3", 235 edge rusher. Certainly a guy down the pecking order in this class because you got a guy like Deshaun Womack at the head of the class. But Carpenter, one of these Louisiana, kind of lower rated, but productive, easy for the staff to scout, and maybe get some feelers from some high school coaches. He becomes a take. He was at Santa Ma. He was committed to Louisiana Lafayette in July of last year, so 13 months ago, committed to Louisiana Lafayette. And funny how this worked out. He was offered the week of the LSU-Bama game and came to the LSU-Bama game. Well, if you're committed to Louisiana Lafayette and you're from Santa Ma and you get offered a scholarship to LSU and you go to the Bama game, what tends to happen next? Just connect those dots pretty quick. He committed to LSU on November the 6th. 6'3", 235 is good size. It's not great. 6'7" wingspan, which Carpenter possesses, is great. And he was uber productive with those long levers, pass rushing, and every scouting service had him as a 3-star. But on 3, watched the tape, and they said, no, this is a 4-star. And they moved him inside their top 300. And I think that his senior year opened a lot of eyes. It certainly opened the LSU staff's eyes. It opened the folks at On 3's eyes. And this is a developmental project, but a guy with tools, a guy from Louisiana. And we'll talk a lot about these guys. This is kind of the, I don't want to say the foundation or the backbone of the team. It's not. Championship teams are built on star players. I'm not going to tell you that the championship teams LSU's had are built on gritty 3-stars who got their way through 4 years at LSU. And maybe Dylan Carpenter becomes a first-round pick. I don't know. But at this point, for me to sit here and go, oh, this kid, he's got second-rounder written all over him. He's going to be an all-league player. Like, I would just be blowing smoke at this point. What I can tell you is objective. He's from Louisiana. He wanted to play at LSU. He's got really long arms, and he was really productive at Sandoval. And he's probably not going to play very much this year. Go off into the subjective there. But there are a lot of guys with Akufo, with Swinson, with Wiggins, with Savion Jones. They got a lot of dudes, including Womack, who will play on the edge for this team. I don't know that Dylan Carpenter is one. But do I think he's got a chance to be a really good player at LSU? I do. I think he's got a chance. And I think the staff, jumped on an opportunity there, and I'm just not at all surprised. I didn't remember it like this when I went back and kind of researched what he was and what his recruiting journey was. I remembered he was committed to a smaller school. I remembered they flipped him pretty quick. I didn't realize it was the Bama week. I think I had some other things on the mind at that point, like winning a national championship became a possibility, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about, remember Dylan Carpenter. But Dylan Carpenter, a guy that a lot of folks around the southern part of our state, certainly our listening area, have seen him play a bunch and think that he's got a real chance. So Dylan Carpenter is our first freshman of the day today. The second is we'll do 2 every day until we've knocked them all out on the 15th, is Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown is a 6-foot, 171-pound wide receiver from Miami. He was thought to be a kid who would likely stay in Florida, and then you kind of heard the tea leaves coming like, LSU's really a factor here, and they got his commitment. He's a consensus 4-star, a top 100 player in the nation by everyone but On 3. So this is the flip of everything. On 3 was higher than ESPN or Rivals or 24/7 on Dylan Carpenter. Everybody else was higher on Jalen Brown than On 3. However, 4-star prospect by all of them, and this guy's got one tool that trumps all the other tools. Speed. He can run. He can run. He can run. He was a sub 10-7 100-meter guy. He did run the 200-meter as well. One of the fastest receivers in the class of 2023, and that's what he can bring to this LSU football team. He was an Army All-American that performed very, very well in San Antonio, and I don't know exactly where he fits in on this team. Certainly Neighbors, certainly Thomas would be ahead of him. Then you've got some of the other names that you've got to get to down the line. I don't know what Aaron Anderson's role is, but certainly he was a very highly rated player. I don't know what Kyle Parker's role in this class is. I don't know what Landon Ibietta's role is quite yet. We'll see what Chris Hilton do, and I'm excited to see what Hilton can do because that's another guy with just elite level speed. But Jalen Brown's a guy that I wouldn't even mind, and I know they won't do this. I don't even know why I would bring it up and give it to you because there's no chance. I would put Jalen Brown back on kickoffs. If you think it's risky to put a slender freshman at 175 pounds back there on punts because he might get rocked and fumbled, I got you. I'm okay. I want somebody with track speed back there running kickoffs back. And no coach seems to agree with me because LSU has continuously put like bigger running backs back at kickoff returner. Nick Brissett had a really good career, ran for 1,000 yards at LSU in his last year. Good player. I don't want him running kicks back. I didn't even like Clyde Edwards-Helaire when he was was it his junior year where he busted out the gate against Georgia and they ran him down. He's not the fastest guy. I want somebody to scare the bejesus out of you back there running kickoffs. I want Trendon Holiday back there. I want Trey Palmer back there. Cousin Trey. We got speed. Use our speed. I want Jaylen Brown back there. I can put Chris Hilton back there too. But this is a loaded wide receiver room. I mean, it's a lot of dudes. I didn't even list them all. So I don't know if Jaylen Brown gets there immediately. He's got to work on his route running according to the scouts. But the speed is elite. And it's not amazing size. It's just 6 feet, 171. But there's something to be said for guys that just go. And Jaylen Brown is a guy that just goes. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and we'll certainly get a look at him as we get out there and watch practice coming up on Thursday of this week. LSU will report to camp tomorrow, and then they'll play practice on Thursday. Still plenty to get to here on this edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll get to Sharif coming up. I want to tell you what Meet the Freshman is looking like tomorrow as I scroll down here. We'll go with Jackson McGowan and Paul Mabanga, a couple of guys in this class at tight end and offensive line. We'll get to Meet the Freshman again. We'll have one of these additions all the way through the 15th of August, giving you 2 freshmen each and every day as we start to introduce you. I don't think you need to know too much about Jaden Daniels entering this year. You probably got a pretty good feel for what Noah Kane and Major Burns are. We'll just meet the freshmen here a little bit. Jaylen Brown and Dylan Carper are today's additions. We'll take a timeout. Come back with Sharif next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. The Outland and Nagurski watch lists are out. We'll talk about the LSU players on the list and a Saints camp report from NOLA. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head on back out to Jim's Firearms Hotline. It's 2:30. It's Tuesday. That means it's time for Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Sharif, we had Catherine Terrell on yesterday. I asked her what her methods were for trying to stay cool at Saints camp. Do you have any tricks of the trade?
Nah, man. I just put tanning oil on and try to get dark as possible and work on my beach tan. Might as well, take advantage of the hot, the temperatures and the sun.
That was the exact opposite answer she gave. She said she put sunscreen on like 3 or 4 times. You're the opposite. You're looking for more sun.
Yes, I'm trying to look crisp out here, man. I want to make sure my tan is on point.
Well, I'd love to hear that. So that's really important stuff. We'll move on to the actual Saints. Before I start asking about individual players, just a vibe check. Like, what's the energy around Saints camp? Optimistic? Is there a little apprehension? Is there a total overhaul because of Derek Carr? What's the deal?
I'd say optimistic, mostly because of Derek Carr. I mean, when you have an established quarterback as your signal caller, and you have so far a healthy offense, and you get a chance to watch them all work together, you can see the optimism there, and you can see what they could be this year. So yeah, I'd say so far through 6 practices, it looks good, and people should be very optimistic, maybe a little cautiously optimistic, I should say, until they finally get a few games under their belt. But it's fair for everyone to be optimistic at this point when you have someone like Carr and you have Alvin Kamara and the rest of the pieces on this offense and Michael Thomas.
Does it feel different than when Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton are taking snaps?
Oh, yeah. Night and day. It's way different, man. It looks like they're running a very confident offense. People just seem to be, because whenever things don't go right during these practices with Derek Carr, if there's any miscommunication or if he makes a mistake, he's going to go talk to the tight end, the receivers, the running backs, or even the offensive line. Hey, what could we do better here? And they just talk through it. And you could see like the hands flailing, and you could see Derek just like running, kind of trying to run the routes with the receiver, the tight end, and trying to tell them where they need to be at what point and where he's going to throw the ball. So, yeah, you could see things a little bit different right now with Derek Carr under center.
Give me a Trevor Penning report.
Look, I know he had that injury last year at the end of the season. The Liz Frank looks better. He's out there practicing. I mean, that's a good sign. You have him practicing a lot more and mauling people. He looked decent today. I would say he looked pretty decent. Got beat a couple times, but there's some times when, he closed off a couple of the holes and allowed Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams to have a couple nice runs.
What's the likelihood he starts the first game?
There's some competition there.
Yeah.
Some competition with with James Hurst, Andrew Speed, who there's no like given for him to be, the starting guy on the offensive line and starting guard. I think we have some competition there. 3 people going maybe for 2 spots. So he's going to have a chance. I mean, look, there's no guarantee for Andrew Speed. Like, no joke. I mean, I know he left yesterday's practice and it's only a strain, but I think that like the less practice time and somebody else with like Trevor Penning getting more run, I mean, that's going to be good for Trevor Penning.
Tell me about the running back position. Kamara looking healthy, and then the 2 newcomers.
Yeah, Alvin does look like he has an extra like step, a little giddy up in his step, man, and these practices. And maybe it has a lot to do with having everything behind him, minus the whole. We'll see what happens with when he meets with Roger Goodell and if and how many games he gets suspended. But yeah, I mean, he looks like a guy that's ready to get back to his old form and old self before the 2020 season. And Jamal Williams is a ground and pound type of guy. He says, people will say, oh, well, can he break away some nice runs and, get outside and run? And can he catch the ball? Yeah. Seen it a few times in some of these practices, especially since they've thrown the pads on. And then you have Kendre Miller. He's gonna come along. The thing I want to see is how well will he be in the passing game? How much can he, develop in the passing game? He didn't really get the ball that much in the passing game at TCU. They mainly use him as a runner, and it mostly had to do with their offense. But I have full confidence in him late in the season. If Alvin is gone for 4 games or so, he'll get a little bit of run early in the season. But I think by the time you hit 8-10 games, I think you'll be a very important piece in this offense, and I think he'd be pretty solid. I'm not going to say I'm not going to put a limit on him, but I think he'll be pretty solid as a rookie.
You're a New Orleanian. Were you offended when Jamal Williams said that beignets are just overrated funnel cakes?
I agree. I mean, I don't really like beignets, dude. I mean, you're
How
asking
could you
the wrong
not like
person.
beignets? Is it like you couldn't like funnel cakes? It's fried bread with powdered sugar on it. What's not to like?
I just really don't eat either. I don't like neither one of them, honestly. I mean, it's okay. I've never been like, I want to go to Cafe Du Monde or Morning Call and go get beignets. I've just never been that type of guy. It's not for me. I have not been a big beignet fan since I've been a kid.
Humorous story. I can't remember who it was. It was one of the ESPN sideline reporters, I think, that wanted to go to Cafe Du Monde. So they woke up before the LSU Florida State game, put it in their phone, went to Cafe Du Monde, and ended up in the Lakeside Mall. Didn't go to the one down in the corner, went out to the mall. It's like, whoops, this was not what I was looking for.
And if you do that, then you're like really taking a step back. You're not even going to the good one. You're going to the Lakeside Mall. I mean, come on.
Let's rein it back in here. Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Defensively, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, they're all guys that I look at and I go, okay, how long can they keep this up? How long can they play at an elite level? What have you seen from those guys? Are they getting some time off? Obviously, this is not the time of the year where they've got to get it in gear.
I think they're trying to play the long game with the season. And they're not trying to go like absolutely 100% during practice, but at the same time, they know they can't just take snaps off because that's how injuries happen and that's how you kind of get lazy on defense. But I think those guys will be fine. I'm Cam Jordan talking last week. Guy said he wants to play at least 15 years. So he's got a couple more years left to get to 15 years. So I think if he can, continue to be productive, he had 8.5 sacks last year. If he continue to do that this year, maybe add a sack or two. I can see him playing a few more years. Tyrann's going to have to be the leader in that secondary and being the captain back there. And he's got to find a way to create more turnovers. His team only had 14 takeaways last year, which was second to last in the NFL. They have to find a way to do that early in the season because most of those takeaways didn't happen until later in the season. So, guys like Demario and Cam, I mean, it's going to come to an end very soon. I mean, we're not telling you any secrets.
Yeah.
I mean, if this year, next year, they have to find a way to be successful defensively and as a team as a whole, and at least try to get into the playoffs both years and see what happens, because you never know what can happen if you get to the playoffs and you give them that offense and that defense together. If they can find a way to click, you give those legendary players a chance to win a Super Bowl. That would be amazing, even though Tyrann already has one. So I'm sure Cam would love to end his career with one here in New Orleans.
Does anybody have a significant leg up between Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor?
I think that's, it's a close race. It really is a close race, but Paulson has made some fantastic plays against Michael Thomas in one-on-one situations and in team drills. Maybe he has a leg up just by a little bit right now, and it looks like he's the guy that was playing really good his rookie year and he was healthy. Remember, he was dealing with an ankle injury last year, which kind of set him back a little bit throughout the season, and he was never himself. Now that he's healthy and making plays against Mike or Chris Olave, small leg up to him. But, I mean, look, you're not going to go wrong with either guy starting opposite Marshawn Lattimore, who's also making a tremendous amount of plays here early on in camp. You can't go wrong. I mean, but it's good to have the depth because, growing up, especially in those 7 and 9 seasons and 14 and 16, they were counting on guys like B.W. Webb to play. Now they don't have to really worry about that now that they have Alontae, Marshawn, Bradley Roby, and Paulson Debo.
Speaking of a time, long time ago, Jimmy Graham played for the Saints a long time ago. Can he still play?
He's a situational guy. You're not getting the 2013 guy who had the 15 or 16 touchdowns, man. You're getting the guy who's still, you know what you can't coach. You can't coach 6'7", right? Go up there and get a ball, man. In the red zone, go up there and get me a touchdown over a 6-foot cornerback or defensive back. Go up there and make it happen. If you have him up there lined up one-on-one, going in the fade for a jump ball, that's what he is. That's what he is at 36 years old. That's what you want. He still has a little bit of that. He's still got the hands to go up there and get it. You don't ask him for much more than that. It's a specialty role, and you don't have anything to lose. You have him out there. You have 3 good tight ends, and Taysom, Taysom is a do-it-all guy. So you have 3 very solid tight ends if you have Juwan, Foster, and you have Jimmy Graham out there.
Does Will Lutz have a chance of losing his job?
Not the way he's kicking this camp.
Yeah.
He's booming, man. He's booming. I think he's only missed 1 kick so far at this camp. He was booming from 59 yesterday. So it's a good competition between he and Groupie. But I think that at this point right now, it's Will Lutz's job to lose, and it looks like he's going to hang on to it if he continues at this rate. But like anything, Hunt, you want to see what these guys look like in actual games because you're not getting the true rush. You're just getting the half rush and the guy's kicking. I want to see what it looks like whenever Groupie has to kick against some of this rush and when Will has to kick against some of this rush. But, it didn't have a great season last year, 23 of 31, a little under 75%, the worst of his career. But I think it's pretty much his job to lose.
Last one here. Every year about this time, someone who we've never heard of, some non-roster invitee or undrafted free agent, whoever, shows up and they end up making a little bit of a splash early. Maybe they make the team, maybe they don't, practice squad. But is there anybody who I'd never heard of that's made a couple of plays and said, oh, maybe he gets a couple more reps?
Man, that's an amazing question. God.
Maybe not. I mean, the Saints roster is fairly set. There aren't that many spots open.
There really aren't, man. And there really aren't many guys out there that are like the darling. Every year you feel like there's that so-called darling player, and it's just like it really hasn't been there. Honestly, this training camp, it's really just been the main guys on this roster that have been providing the big plays, and it may continue that way. But so far, I mean, like you said, not many spots on this roster, and it seems to be the everyday names that we were calling out last offseason and during this regular season, plus some of the additions of the rookies.
Thanks, Sharif. We'll do it again next week.
You got it.
He is Sharif Ishak, WDSU, down there checking in on the black and gold. Back to school season is here. 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust want to help. It's our $1,000 back to school bucks giveaway. You can head over to 1045ESPN.com now. Register and win. We'll also be awarding a $500 local cash prize. It's the $1,000 back to school bucks giveaway. It's presented by Citizens Bank and Trust. Take one more time out. Come back with Take It or Leave It. Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years in the business, bathrooms and closets. Closet may be cluttered, may not have enough room, got shoes stuffed everywhere, suitcases anywhere they don't fit, trying to find stuff in the dark while your spouse is sleeping. Just fix it. Customize it. David Duvall and his team can do it. They can help you use your space more efficiently, or they can knock out your closet and put in a whole new one that's customized to your wardrobe. They'll come in, do a free consultation. It starts with a little survey. Said, okay, questionnaire, what do you got? What do you need? What's important to you? Okay, well, let's make it happen. And they can do it at One Bath and Closets. If you look at the website, onebathandclosets.com, you can see testimonials, you can see pictures of their great work. And I can tell you this, if you're a listener of the Hunt Palmer Show and you tell David Duvall and his team that you are a listener of the Hunt Palmer Show, he's not going to charge you to rip out your current closet. He's not going to charge you to install the new one. Just going to charge you the cost of that unit. That's what he promises to our listeners at the Hunt Palmer Show. And I will promise you that he's going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find the website, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving
for a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench, as we have a new edition of Would You Rather Wednesday. LSU football quickly approaching their season opener against FSU. We'll continue to break it down. And the Saints get ready for some preseason games. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Reminder, you can head to Pluckers tonight, 8:30, sports trivia. I'll be calling out questions and agonizing over the Cubs and Reds. And you can come have some fun. Delicious cold beer on draft, great jumbo chicken wings. You can win some gift cards. 8:30, Nicholson location. We'll have you out of there by 10. Always a good time on Tuesdays. Excited to get back after a couple weeks off at Plucker. So hope to see y'all out there tonight. Grab a team and come on out. Jacob Beck, take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. Nickelodeon will host the first ever alternate broadcast of our Super Bowl, targeting kids with different visuals and effects. Nickelodeon has done a few regular season games already in the past few seasons. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it, sure. I'm kind of thinking of it from the lens of not of, whether a kid's going to like it or not. Well, I'm thinking like, you got a Super Bowl party, you got some adults, you need to bring the kids along, and they don't want to be in the big room with all the adults loud, and send them over to the other room and see if they don't like the Super Bowl with slime on the field, whatever the case may be. I think that's fine. I'll take it. Not going to affect my life one bit, maybe for the next 4 or 5 years until Myers Man can check it out, but at this point, he just throws balls around the house and doesn't ever look at the TV. So at this point, I don't care. I'll take it.
Phoenix Suns Sunburst uniform will be brought back this year, pulling cues from their 93 finals uniforms. Take it or leave it.
I will take this.
I'll take it.
We're doing a lot of uniform stuff and take it or leave it these days.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to self-title myself the uniform czar. Like, I'm the guy. I make the decisions. I make the determinations. I make the rules. I make the opinions. And this is a big-time take it. I mean, we all know the 90s Suns uniform, the Barkley uniforms, the purple with the orange. Like, that's working. I don't need to turn on the Suns and see them wearing black uniforms that say the Valley on them. That's bad. The Czar says so. The Czar says the purple and orange, while maybe a little bit of obnoxious color coordination, works for them.
It
so
works.
we're going to put that back on. I like them. I saw the picture. It's good. We'll take it.
Bruce Feldman's piece on The Athletic is titled Jim Harbaugh Believes Michigan Can Win the Title and Break the NFL Draft Record. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think Michigan can win the national championship this year. I don't know anything about their personnel, but they've been really good the last couple of years. They've recruited really well, and Harbaugh's kind of got it rolling a little bit, and they're bullying Ohio State around a bit. That game's coming back to the big house this year, and I don't think the rest of the Big Ten is a huge threat to them at this point. Maybe James Franklin's got something to say about that. They don't play Wisconsin this year, maybe in the Big 10 championship. I don't know if they're going to break the draft record. That's a lot. LSU and Georgia had quite a few come off the board in the last few years. So I've always said, like, there are college football programs that can get this done, and there are some that can't. And I always tell you about Cal and Washington State aren't going to do it, and you're not going to get a national championship out of Michigan State, and at no point is Maryland about to break through, and I don't think Georgia Tech's got a real shot either. Michigan does. They haven't for years. They've been really underachieving until the last 2 seasons, but they're good enough, and I think they have the ability to do it. So I think that it's possible. I'm just going to bet against it.
The Astros have acquired Justin Verlander, got him back from the Mets. The Stros are the AL favorites. Take it or leave it.
Verlander has not been the same guy this year. His strikeout numbers are way down. The ERA is okay, and some of the metrics are okay, but his strikeout numbers are down. But the Stros have some postseason pedigree, and they churn guys in and out. Springer leaves, Correa leaves, and they still seem to figure it out and play great baseball. So I'm not ready to go all in on the Orioles. I'm not feeling great about that. The Rangers spend a lot of money, and we'll see what happens when they bring in Scherzer, who hasn't been great either. I'll take it, sure. I'll take the Astros as the AL favorite.
I'll take it.
I'm not too worried about it, but I got my own issues in the National League. But that's just an organization that, say what you will about all the cheating, and I'm reading a book right now about some of the cheating stuff that some of it's been pretty eye-opening. I didn't realize that Bobby Thompson had the signals when he hit one of the most famous home runs ever in the 40s. But I'll take the Stros. They just seem to get it done.
All right, last one here. The Cubs will win tonight. Take it or leave it.
They really need to. I'll take it. Look, we got Steele on the mound, the pride of Loosedale, Mississippi. I was just devastated last year when I was flying up in August. Had tickets, 1:20 Friday game, Spirit Airlines flight, 7 a.m. Going to get there in plenty of time.
Not
Got
Spirit.
delayed 2 hours. It was a very bad situation. But Justin Steele's parents were on the flight. They had the jerseys on. Went and chatted with him. Told him he was pitching great. He was. He was an all-star this year. We need Justin Steele to step it up and win this game. If the Cubs lose tonight, it starts to get real dicey when you start looking at the division. There's plenty of baseball left, and you can get hot again. But I'd really prefer it if they didn't throw what is, in my opinion, their best pitcher out there, and he got beat by the Reds. I'm disgusted with Marcus Stroman last night, who couldn't get Jake Fraley out, couldn't get Joey Votto's lifeless corpse, who's hitting 200 out in the first 3 innings. The Cubs fell down by 5 runs, and they couldn't recover from it. If you think this is mildly entertaining my emotion level as we turn the calendar to August and I'm trying to win the division with the Cubs, then come out to Pluckers tonight, because you'll see the real full meal deal of me grinding every single pitch and freaking out and trying to call trivia questions. That's what you'll get at Pluckers tonight. The Cubs have to win tonight. Jacob Beck, do you believe the Cubs will win tonight?
Yes, I do. Steele has been dealing, and the offense is scuttling a little bit, but
got Candelario.
Candelario's in here. I'm guessing he's going to be in the lineup tonight.
The
Hopefully,
Candyman, he'll be in there.
Let's
Gotta
go.
be. Gotta get Nick Madrigal right down to the bench, because he's the guy who hits a bunch of singles, which I used to be really for, but at this point, I've seen enough. You got to hit some home runs, got to hit it over the fence. Do you support me being the uniform czar? I think you're going to have to refer to me when we do take it or leave it with uniform questions as the uniform czar.
I don't disagree with any of your uniform choices, so I'll have to say yes.
All right, that's excellent news. So you're you're anti-LSU like alternate uniforms.
Yes. For the most
Excellent
part.
news.
Yeah.
That is excellent news. That's the kind of production we need. right there. That's the kind of attitude we need, the kind of production we need. That's what we're talking about. There are a lot of people that disagree with me, but that's okay. I have now been named the uniform czar and will be referred to as such until the end of time, quite honestly. And if you disagree, well, you just lose, because I'm obviously correct in that vein. All right, that's take it or leave it here on this Tuesday. We opened the show today talking about the Outland Trophy watch list. LSU had 3 players mentioned on that list. Had some Saints talk. 4 players that I think have got to elevate their level of play if the Saints are going to achieve what they're trying to achieve. That was at 1:15. Glenn West talking LSU at 1:30. 1:45, LSU gets a commitment from J.D. LaFleur. Name remember his dad, who was an All-American at LSU. College football scheduling superlatives at 2 o'clock. Played a little Meet the Freshmen with Dylan Carpenter and Jalen Brown in the LSU freshman class, and then we chatted to Sharif Ishak about the Saints. If you're looking for LSU football content, we've got it. It's Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Search, subscribe. If you're looking for Saints content, we've got it. Hunt on Saints. Go to YouTube, search, and subscribe. It'll all funnel there. It's football season. It's August now. So if you want your YouTube fix for some football, we've got you covered. You can find all our stuff on demand wherever you find your audio. And, of course, as I mentioned, on YouTube. That's going to do it for us on this Tuesday. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home with After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra.